Hey everyone, John Roca here at the Facebook LA studios with the cast and creator, showrunner, writer of this incredible new show. Sorry for your loss. It's on Facebook Watch. I consumed 13 episodes of this show in one Sunday. I cried a lot, so I'm excited to talk to this cast and definitely to Kit Steinkellner about this show. We have Elizabeth Olsen, Kelly Marie Tran, Jovan Adepo, and Mamoudou Athie. Yes? Nailed it. Oh, Athie, sorry. And I want to ask you guys, because this deals with so many strong issues. We have the possibility of suicide, interracial relationships, moving on from sudden loss in your life, and you all really dive into this with rarely any moments of levity through the show, because it can be like that life sometimes, especially in a process like this. How do you all unwind on the set after a scene or after especially brutally emotional scene like it happens in the show?
Well, I hope we made you laugh a couple times.
Sure.
I do too.
We hope there's levity built into the
Every once in a while, I was like,
series.
yes, especially Kelly.
Yeah.
I definitely have to lie with Kelly.
But is there anything else, like Janet McTeer is known for a lot of like strong dramatic roles. Do you all ever put whoopee cushions on her chair or anything like that, kind of unsettle her a little bit?
I would be too scared.
I'm so scared.
The consequences would be
Are you serious?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Oh my God, I think she would get a crack. She would love
You
that.
might be right.
Make her life.
I think she would enjoy that greatly.
I'm not going to be the one to
right.
try it, though.
Yeah, I'm not the one.
You
I
go.
try. I would do that.
That doesn't know what happened.
No, we're not a bunch of pranksters, really, but we
okay.
like each other a
A lot,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So-
you all have you're all on cross paths. I mean, you're all cross sides sometimes when you're crossing paths, and I always find that interesting to explore. Okay, this was brought about from a moment in college, right? Is that right?
Oh no,
The
I
whole
was
show?
older, but
Okay.
certainly a moment. Yeah, it was already a weird year where a few people in my life had died, and then so it already felt like the vultures were circling a little bit. And then there was a night that very much resembled the flashback sequence in the first episode of season 1, where Leigh wakes up in the middle of the night, can't find her husband, looks everywhere, it just that night I had this thought on loop in my head that if my husband died, my life would be over, but my life could not be over because I was still alive. So what was I going to do? How do you live a life that's over? And found him. It was okay. I mean, I wasn't okay.
Right.
I think everything from the outside looks like it worked out, but I felt changed by that night. I think when you go nose to nose with your worst nightmare, it's hard to come back the same.
Right.
And that entire, and it was also, I just got married. It had been that summer, so it was that fall. I just kept wrestling with it, with that nightmare, and this character emerged. And the more I thought about her and the people in her life, the less it became me and my life, and the more it became wholly them. And then to meet Lizzie 3 years ago now?
I think it was more.
More, maybe almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And to sit down with you and to know within 5 seconds you were supposed to be this human, to meet Mamoudou and Jovan and Kelly in auditions and know that they were supposed to be these people, it felt, it's like when you got a jigsaw puzzle, you got 3 missing pieces, and you can see it, it's so close, but then you just lock those pieces in. That's what it was to meet these amazing humans. All of a sudden, the show was a show.
Yeah, and it's such an incredibly diverse show as well, which I found to be so great for me to enjoy and see this process. Elizabeth, I lost my father in 2008 to cancer, and watching your process as this character, there is so much I had forgotten that I went through myself. And that's what's so fantastic about watching your character, the anger, the frustration, the using it as a guilt card at times when it's convenient because you can't process what's happening. How much of this excited you as an actress to enter, and how much of it maybe changed you from the experience afterwards?
Well, what I loved about the first time reading Kit's pilot was I had been playing characters that are aside from me, or I'd been playing parts that were in different worlds that I had to learn more about. And I was like, she sounds like me. That's not good. Like, I can come across a lot like Leigh at times, which isn't that great for my type A personality. But what I loved about it was how specific it was to the experience of grief. I haven't personally lost anyone that important to me. I've lost important people to me, but not like a parent or a spouse. And so,
I mean, there's vision, but other than that,
yeah, just losing vision, which, by the way, like intersected with this show in a really funny way.
I thought it was working things out for me.
Like but with this show specifically, it was really reading Joan Didion's Year of Magical Thinking, because the way she writes about grief is so specific, and getting behind, like being the person trying to hold on to the memory. And that's why memory became such an important part of our show, and like not wanting to lose those memories and keep them as specific and dirty and real and honest as possible, instead of turning into this like blurry romantic fantasy of this person being perfect. Like, you don't want that. You want the real thing. And so that became a big part of our show. And it did change me, because I have cousins who have lost parents, my uncle, and I really didn't know at Thanksgiving 5 years later if you bring it up again.
Right.
And what I learned from doing this show is people love talking about the people they love, even if they're gone. And so that was the thing I really took away after the first season. I was like, wow, people, like, it shouldn't be that awkward thing at dinner where it's like, no one's gonna say the obvious thing, like so-and-so died, and like, or should I bring it up or should I not? Or it's gonna be so awkward if I bring it up. And I think people really do wanna talk about the people they love. And those kinds of conversations, I feel like if you have more of them, people would understand the process a bit more. It's such an isolating experience.
You destroy the stigma of it by showing the reality of it, right? And I think that's what the show does really, really well. It does not pull punches on the authenticity of the experience. Another one, Jules, or Kelly, what you go through with Jules, also the addiction, dealing with the guilt that's being thrown at you from other people being afraid you're going to relapse all the time. This is such a, how much responsibility did you feel to create a real interpretation of someone who's coming off an addiction and trying to go on with her life? Like, how much research did you do for Jules?
A lot. A lot of, yeah, I felt a lot of responsibility. And I think the thing that really sort of tied me to Jules in a way was, I have friends who were addicts, and I do think that everyone is sort of an addict in a way, like we all have our addictions. Sure. But what was really important to me about this character is I didn't want her to feel as if she's like, here's me always talking about my addiction. I'm always so, you know what I mean? I wanted her to feel like she was a person walking around the world who had this experience but was trying not to be defined by it. And the only reason why she was is because the people in her world continued to define her that way. And I think that's really real to life a lot of the times when we're trying to be new people or trying to be new things. A lot of the times the things that hold us back are the people that love us the most, not consciously, but because they can't see past the things that you've done. So yeah, it was really big for me. I read the big book. Yeah, it was a whole delving into, and it continues to be. This season is different things, but
well, we have that moment in the first season where you're like, I need to get away from this family. I need to find my own voice, and even they resist you doing that because they need you to fit in this particular box so that they can function in their world. But you've become the character that I watch like I'm cheering for you the most as I watch these episodes, because all of a sudden in the first season it becomes about your story. We were following Leigh for so long, all of a sudden it becomes about your story, and this is a nice, interesting turn that the show does that I really think speaks highly of it, right?
yeah, Kit.
We love
question.
we love these characters, these actors, these humans. So there is, we are very aware that we have 10 episodes, a half hour each, and so we're playing musical chairs a little bit and trying to make sure that every character and actor really gets their moment, gets their due. But we have limited real estate, so we and I I feel like that really in season 2 we do see the musical chairs of it all. The spotlight's here, then it's here, then it's here. But ultimately, I'm really proud of the quilt that all those patchworks create.
Yeah, and another two pieces of those quilts is your relationship that you have, Jovan and Mamoudou, the relationship you have together as brothers. This is not an easy relationship. And I remember interviewing the directors for The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and one of the things he talked about was that we're finally starting to see more layered representations of black men in shows. How, we deal with interracial relationships in this show. We deal with your relationship with your mom and the abuse of the dad. Like, how much of that echoed in your own lives, or how much of that have you experienced with other people to bring to these roles as well on the show?
Jovan.
Mamoudou.
Here we go.
I mean, or not. I'm just asking. I've seen enough examples of like the complex dynamic of that when it comes to like siblings and things like that outside of my family.
Right.
I mean, even I guess if I'm looking a little bit inward, me and my brother have had that in the past. I mean, we get along great now, but it's definitely something that I was able to pull from as far as like most of the confrontation between me and Matt. But I don't know, that's my.
Yeah. I think I thought we just kind of built on like a rapport.
Sorry.
Was that the dance from when you met that girl with the ears?
I just fell on the sword for someone else. I was trying to come off.
Trying to give you some more time to think.
No, thanks. I was like, I needed that. No, I just felt like, we just, honestly built off the rapport we already have and used the script as a guide.
Yeah.
It's not a standard thing. Do you like that they're exploring more? Like, okay, you're a comic book nerd, and there's been a big push
I am a
for
comic book nerd, by the way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's been a bigger push to recognize that the comic books aren't just for the white audiences, the black audiences, Latino audiences, Asian audiences. It's there. Did you like that aspect of the character?
Oh yeah,
for Matt?
It's something that I always kind of look for. I mean, vulnerability in black men on screen has been underrepresented like throughout growing up, and like within. I say often, like, had I graduated 10 years ago, I don't know if I'd have the same career.
Interesting.
Which is nuts.
Right.
But I'm, sign of the times that things are changing. Hopefully, continue to change in a positive way, and this show is one of those shows that are really trying to push that forward.
I know I got to wrap up, but Jovan, I got to ask you. Danny is becoming someone that I am now fascinated by as he starts to now, as you were saying, Kit, earlier. Now the musical chair seems to be on him, because in the first season we got a lot of Danny, but we wanted more of Danny. Like, what's his process? And now we're seeing this, what you're going into, the surfing stuff, all of that moving out, like experiencing all this kind of stuff. Like, what excites you about Danny in the second season?
I think it's just the opportunity to show another perspective on getting through grief and trying to get through just life obstacles in general. Like you were saying, Danny gets a chance to try all these different things, and he really is trying to just feel what feels good to him, and he's trying to chase that feeling, like, in whatever way he can. So it was really cool to just get involved in different things throughout the season and continue to build upon the relationships with the rest of my castmates.
Yeah.
It's been really cool.
I'm only 3 episodes into the second season, so I'm looking forward to see more. I was told that 3 more episodes are waiting for me, so I can't wait to get
Ooh,
back.
they're big
get
ones
treats.
too.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 are huge episodes.
That's usually how it was in the first season as well. 4, 5, and 6 were the big. And that's the last thing I want to say to you all is I really appreciate the way you confront the possibility of mental health and suicide here, because you don't really 100% settle the issue, at least at this point, that's happened. And it's more about the fact that he's gone, and it's less about the fact of what happened. And that's another way to destroy the stigma, as we were talking about earlier, destroying the stigma of that. It's a disease. This killed. He didn't make a choice. She didn't make a choice. And I think that's a powerful message for the show.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
something I had heard in the wake of someone I knew that had died as a result of suicide, and it was something their child said that really just like still is a knife in my gut, and I never forgot it, and it really felt. And that's what you do as a writer, is you just these things happen to you in life, and there's like knives in your gut, and you sometimes, if you're fortunate, you have a story and a platform and opportunity, and you can kind of like remove that knife and stick it in the story, I guess. Or you just like keep it in your back pocket, and then you just place it in the story gently. That's maybe a less violent metaphor.
No, I think it's.
But no, it was. I felt that in our season finale last year that was the right moment to have that conversation. So I'm glad it resonated with you. That means a lot.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. One last thing, because I'm with Collider, I have to ask you, Elizabeth. What is the thing you're most excited to show people in WandaVision, may I ask?
Wanda.
I think that's just
Yeah.
you can't end it better than that. Well, thanks everybody for watching with the cast and the creator of Sorry for Your Loss. Please, for the love of God, watch this show. It's one of the best things I've ever watched and one of the most authentic slices of real life in our world now and the issues we're confronting as human beings. So watch this thing. We'll talk to you soon.